Hi, everybody. My name is Tim Errickson. I am the artistic director of the Boomerang Theater Company, and I'm so lucky today to be chatting with Kari Bentley-Quinn. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. We are recording on Wednesday, November 11th, a week out from the election, a week into getting closer to fall and holiday season, and we're 6, 7 months into this time of theater without theater.
We're rolling
Um,
into eight, actually. I think December is going to be 8 months.
That's insane. Let me give you a little background on Kari. She is a playwright based in New York City. Let me do this right. She is a playwright based in New York City, originally from Stratford, Connecticut. Her plays have been presented or developed at the Lark Play Development Center, Lesser America, Halcyon Theater, Animus Theater Company, Theater of Note, premiere stages at Keene University, and Astoria Performing Arts Center, as well as many others. Her new play, Hyannis, was selected as a winner of the Ashland New Play Festival last month in October 2020. So congratulations on that. That's very exciting. In a
Thank
year, in a
you.
year without theater, to be selected as a winner.
Yeah, it was really funny because my husband and I were it was our 15th anniversary this year, and we were supposed to go to Antigua. So we had it all planned out, and then COVID happened, and I took the insurance money out. And so we rented a house in the Catskills for June with our money because I was like, let's just leave.
Yeah.
So we took the cats, we went, and I found out about Ashland when I was up there, and I just started laughing because I was like, of course, the year I get into like the festival I wanted to get into, I can't actually go.
Of course.
And they were like, they barely had any cases up there, but they're like, we can't risk flying people in and all this stuff. And I was like, I totally understand. So yeah, going into it, I had no idea what to expect. And I think I kind of just like put it out of my mind because I found out in, like mid-June or something, and the festival wasn't until October. And as we know in 2020, that's 9 years. I mean, that's like, we've all aged a decade since
Yeah.
June. Come on. So, I mean, I couldn't even really think about it. And I think it was in some kind of like weird denial. And then like, as the emails started to roll in about planning and here's your director and here's what you have to do, I started to panic because I was like, I have done nothing for 8 months. Like I've done a little bit of stuff here and there, like, with Mission to Ditmars, we had lab a few times. Like I was in Project Y, I've done a couple of things, but like nothing that was an actual presentation of my work
Yeah.
in 8 months, which I think is the longest I've gone in quite some time without even having like a reading.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was terrified. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. But I got gifted with an incredible cast who came into the Zoom room, but it felt really normal after a minute. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
at first it's really weird because everyone's on Zoom and you can't do the thing where you all sit around the table and you have your rehearsal snacks and everybody gets to know each other and there's all the little side conversations. But after we got into the text and we started, reading through the play, and all of them came into the room, they had all read the play, they had all done research on Hyannis and Cape Cod, like they had all done research on the heroin epidemic, like no one came in there unprepared, which made my job so much easier. And they're also just like super nice group of people, but I still felt that ache of like, I really want to go have a beer with all of you right now, which we did at the end. When it was over, we did have a happy hour where but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
But it was nice.
Yeah. Sarah's been talking a lot about the thing that she misses the most about doing these Zoom projects is that moment when you're waiting for the studio to open and like people are hanging out in the hallway, like, oh, I just got off this subway. Oh my gosh, the 7's not running, whatever. Or the walking out of the room together to go to the elevator and being like, oh, where are you headed? Oh yeah, I'm going to my yada yada. And those little interstitial moments.
The ladies' room conversations. Like you went to the vending machine, that kind of thing, like these little side conversations that don't happen, these little bonding moments where you find like, you always have your friend in rehearsal. Like most of the time there are the people that like, you're like, I love all these people. But then like you find the person that you're like, with in your room who maybe you didn't know before, but like you kind of hit it off. And it's that like exciting thing of, oh, I found a new friend. And of course it's like, it's basically a showmance, right?
Right.
Because it's not like you write each other letters every day or you're texting every day, but like while the show is going on, you're BFF. And I really miss that. that's the thing I really, really missed. But at the same time, I think these are people I'm definitely going to keep in touch with and use again, and people I might not have met, because two of them who played Tommy and Lauren, who are, you know, younger people in the show, are, I think Arthur, who played Tommy, I think is in his last year of Carnegie Mellon, and I think Carmen, who played Lauren, just graduated last year. So they're super young, amazing, like, and also unfairly attractive. You know what I mean? Like, when you're just like, this isn't nice, like, this isn't fair. Carnegie Mellon graduates, or soon to be graduates, you know, from the BFA, and they're incredible. I mean, for 22, 23-year-old actors, I mean, really super professional, super prepared, and so talented that it kind of made me a little bit angry. But I would never meet, we don't usually get those people until they move here, or we're doing a show out of town. So I'm really excited that I got to connect with some really amazing actors. And then I got to, you know, two of my other actors were based on the West Coast. One is in California, one's in Oregon. Definitely going to keep in touch with them. And then I had, do you know Sam Rosentrader? I think you probably do.
No, that's a name I don't know.
Yeah, she's in Astoria. She's been in a bunch of my plays. And they were having a hard time finding a role for Michelle. Like, they were having a hard time filling that role. And they asked me if I knew anyone. I was like, oh, the person I wrote the play for? And so I got to work with Sam again, who had read Michelle in my apartment 2 years ago. And then my friend Jo Twist, who plays Fran, which is Michelle's mom, and she's like the matriarch of the family, and she had been in 2 of the readings. So I got to bring them in. So it was this really like mix of like a few people that I knew and like a bunch of people I didn't know. And it just worked out because everybody was so nice.
And so as a playwright, when you're working on something that is a hodgepodge of like family, but also new people at the same time, and you're on Zoom, what's the process like for you? How does it work for you in terms of getting notes, getting feedback, facilitating rewrites, and bringing them into the rehearsal room in this way?
Well, I really lucked out because Adrienne Campbell-Holt, who was my director, had already done like 6 Zoom workshops or something crazy like that, because she's very in demand in New York, and I think was super busy before this happened. And so she continues to be super busy, and there's a reason for that. And that's because she is brilliant. And she just guided the whole process in a way that included me every step of the way, but she was clearly in charge, which was really nice, because I was like, okay, you know what you're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. You know what you're doing, so I'm going to leave it. But there were no decisions that weren't run by me. Everything was very collaborative. And, you know, it wound up working kind of like a normal rewrite process, where I would be like, okay, cool. I've learned all this. I'm going to go away for a minute, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to send you new pages. The problem is, when you're doing Zoom, is that you can't just print new pages for people.
Right.
You have to send a new PDF. And everybody is either printing it off their printers or they're reading it off a screen. So it becomes a Frankenscript in a new way that I've never even known, which is like, I had annotated the script beforehand because I thought it would be helpful to say camera on, camera off for each character. So like entrances and exits, and like highlighted just to make it easier for everybody. And so that we would come into the room like knowing when people were supposed to turn on and off their cameras, which, by the way, is the hardest part of the Zoom reading, is everybody turning their cameras on and off and muting themselves. That's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
Other than somebody's internet connection going down, which did happen the second night, but we rallied. It was okay.
Right.
So it was really nerve-wracking, because I was having to like go in and edit the script and send it to my stage manager. And of course they were amazing. My stage manager and my PA were, because we had a PA, because it was a, you know, kind of a film production. So it was a PA.
Yeah.
And they were amazing, but I was super nervous. I was like, did I miss something? Did I not cut a thing? And so the PDF version of this script is so funny, because it's just like a bunch of cross-outs and highlights. And like, you know, when you can make the text box in PDF to put a note and like all this stuff, because usually I would just print them new scripts and my day job, or wherever. But I can't, you know, I have a printer, but I can't actually mail them to people. So, you know, and people don't have printers, there's money issues. Nobody wants to spend $60 printing out a color coded script at Kinko's. So I was just sort of petrified that all the work we did would somehow be for naught, because I was terrified that people would like open the wrong version of the script. But, you know, it didn't happen. It was fine. Everybody did great.
Actors are good like that.
They're great like that. I know.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
And so did you also get feedback from the administration and sort of the other creative folks at the Ashland New Play Festival?
Yeah, I mean, everybody was extraordinarily supportive. Me and the four playwrights, we got very close. Actually, David Hilder was in the festival, and he was my classmate as a writer.
Yeah.
And we're very, very good friends. So it was really nice to be in a festival with somebody that I knew very well, who I miss very much, and I got to see a lot more of. And so it was really, really nice to meet these people. And just have that like playwright camaraderie that you don't get. So yeah, it was this really great camaraderie. Beth Canver, who's the host playwright, is the most lovely person. Do you know her? She's awesome.
Yes, I do know her.
Yeah.
She's terrific.
So, I mean, she's in Chicago. So yeah, it was so many time zones. It's like Beth is in Chicago, we're the East Coast, the West Coast. Like I was so terrified of missing things, because we would have Google Calendar invites, but it would be like 1 p.m. Eastern, and then like this Pacific and this Central. And I was like, what is time? I don't know. So I had to set alarms on my phone, because I literally had no idea what time it was.
Yeah.
And Kyle and Jackie, Kyle's the artistic director and Jackie's the associate artistic director, were just super supportive. The board member, I mean, we really didn't get any negativity. It was all like, what can we do to help you the whole way? Which was really nice.
Yeah, it seems like that's, you know, you get theater people in a challenging situation. Everybody sort of pitches in and says, what can I do for you?
Yeah, it was really, really nice. And it was really helpful for me, because I think that was at a point where I was like, I don't have anything going on, and I'm starting to go insane. You know, where I'm just like questioning, like, I mean, you know me, like I'm a busy person.
Yeah.
And to not be busy this much is weird. And it's like so much of your day is filled with, you know, mundane stuff. Like, well, we got to clean the house. I mean, I feel like I'm cleaning more than I've ever cleaned, because we're both home all the time.
All the time. It's crazy.
Too. Like my husband's cleaning. Why is my house so disgusting? Constantly, all I do is clean. It's crazy. And then you have to cook, which is time consuming. I mean, you don't have to, but like it's more economically responsible to cook and healthier. And when we were in lockdown, you didn't really have a choice. So now my days are filled with like these like mundane things, like go to the grocery store and like, you know, cook dinner and make sure the house is not disgusting. And then I'm working my day job 9 to 5, and all the deadlines I was on were totally self-imposed. So other than the festival, like everything, I had a production scheduled for the fall. I had all these things lined up, and all of them got postponed or canceled.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, now no one's putting a gun to my head. And I am one of those people, I need a hard deadline. I need like, you're fired unless you do this in 2 weeks.
Fear of God. Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, that's like part of why Don and I did Mission to Ditmars, right? Because we were like, we don't write unless we're in a writer's group, and like, we have to bring stuff in.
Yeah.
And I think that online writers groups, while great, don't work quite as well as they should or can. And I hope that we can figure out how to make them work better. But I feel like in the beginning, I think everybody was really tired, and we were also on Zoom so much, and we weren't used to it yet, that it was becoming exhausting.
Yeah. But
now I'm seeing so much innovation in Zoom that it's really exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be done. And I think there's a lot that will continue to be evolved through this process as we get through this for the next 6 months.
I like
or so.
split it, and now I'm like thinking about how to write for Zoom. Like I'm thinking about like writing a Zoom play, and I'm like, I'm glad everybody else figured it out. Well, I like didn't do much for, you know, but it was fine. I mean, I think I needed a break.
Yeah.
It wasn't the break I wanted.
Sure.
But you know, sometimes, you know, life comes in ridiculous packaging. And I think I was really burned out, and I needed a break, and I took a break. And now I'm slowly starting to get back to an actual thing.
But I want to tag into that a little bit, because I know that in addition to playwriting, you also are doing writing for other media as well. And has that started to come back for you as well?
Yeah, I'm working on an outline for, were you in lab when I brought in my play, The Diver?
No.
No, I think that was right before you. Okay, so that was the play I finished like right before you came into lab. Yeah, so I'm starting a pilot of that play, so a TV pilot of that play, and right now I'm still in the outlining phase, which, by the way, apparently takes forever, which I didn't know. So it's not like playwriting where you just sit down and write the play. It's like you have to write an outline, and then you have to write a pitch book, and then like, no, the outline sucks, so now you have to go back and rewrite the outline, and then you have to rewrite the pitch. Like, so it is not how my brain works at all.
Mine either. It is exhausting.
I hope my managers aren't watching. Sorry.
No, she's totally fine.
No, I love being so free. I love having so many choices, but that's also my problem, is that I can do anything. And I'm so used to working within the constraints of theater that having too many choices is like me being in a super Walmart where I am asked to buy a bottle of sunscreen, and I go to a shelf and there's 4 million kinds of sunscreen, and I wind up having a panic attack and buying no sunscreen.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. It's too many choices.
Yeah.
So I'm having to like give myself limitations so that I know how to work within the world I'm trying to build, because I have too many options, because I can go anywhere and I can do anything. Yeah.
For me, it's ended up being a lot of, I'm used to writing down and dirty, like, let's write a dialogue scene. Let's get character interaction popping, and let's sort of tell a great story. And then we'll worry about the visuals element of it later on after this is done. And now it's so much about figuring out the visuals and what a reader is seeing before you actually get to the juicy part, that it just can be totally, like, it feels like work a lot of times.
Well, I mean, your action sequences in any kind of screenplay or television show are essentially prose. Like, you're setting the scene for them to read like a condensed version of what the novel of this would be like, so that they can imagine it in their head.
Yeah.
And that's something that bores me very quickly.
Yeah, no, totally.
I get super bored. No, I get super bored. I admit it. Like, I will just be like, and then they pick up a cup, and I'm like, let's get into it. Like, let's have the people talk to each other. Like, let's see what's spicy. Like, let's see what's going on. But you can't do that. And of course, when you see it visually, that creates most of the excitement. But coming from a theater background, I'm like, the fun is in the relationships and in the characters. And I mean, of course, scenery and all that stuff is super important, but we leave that to our brilliant designers. And I feel like this puts us more in you need to be thinking like a designer, and I am not at all.
Yeah.
So it's like this expansion of what I can do, which is really exciting, but at the same time, it's also terrifying and also tedious at moments. So
exactly.
I'm working on it. I mean, I have really lovely TV and film managers who I just started working with in, I think, like February of last year. So I've been with them almost a year, and then like the world flipped upside down. So like all the plans we had been making for, I was going to go to LA for like, a few weeks, take generals, do all the things. And then that's not happening. And now all the writers' rooms are happening in Zoom rooms, but they're still hiring people. So it's just very weird.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Everything is weird. It's hard to plan anything because it changes from day to day.
Yeah, and hard to, if you're breaking in and trying to meet people for the first time, or like get jobbed on a show or what have you, it's a difficult time for you to go in as a newbie, but also for them to receive new people. And like, it's a challenge on both ends.
Right. I mean, as great as Zoom is, and I think that I feel like it's really awkward at first when you meet a new person on Zoom. I feel like it's insanely awkward. Like, I don't feel awkward talking to you. I know you. It's fine.
Right.
But when you meet a new person on Zoom, there's this weird, like, it's very odd. So it's not the same as being in a room with someone and picking up on the energy, and you really have to focus in a way that I'm not used to. And so I get headaches. But, you know, I mean, I'm just kind of trudging forward with, you know, these things that I want to do. And I realize that there's no fire, like there's no rush. I don't have to rush. And also I feel like I'm a person who writes after the trauma is over and not while the trauma is going on. And I feel like we've been enduring sustained trauma for 8 months. And I think the Biden election, although I guess we're in a soft coup now, so that's cool. It's fine. But, you know, I feel like it did take a little bit of pressure off and a little bit like, okay, we're on the right track. Like maybe things are going to start to improve. And now we're in this holding period while people grow up. Or take over the army and kill us all. Don't know.
One of those two,
But, you know, it's very difficult to respond to this moment because the moment's not over.
Yeah.
But I am starting to write a little bit more, a lot for myself, like a lot of just journaling. But I don't know, like I feel like some people have just been able to be like super productive and some haven't. And I feel like there's no middle.
Yeah,
there's no one who's like, I'm kind of productive. Like it's either I'm blocking the world out and cranking work out right now, or I'm not, I'm watching reality television and not paying attention. Not saying that's me, but.
No, of course not. So when you are getting back to working now, in whatever media, what's your process like? Do you like to write in the morning or at night, or are there certain things you have to have around you that to get you in the zone or the flow?
Right. This has been kind of my problem. So my process used to be...
Says the woman who just won the Ashland New Play Festival. This is her problem.
But my process happened when I could still commute and had my life and had my schedule, right?
Yeah, of course.
So my process used to be, I would get up in the morning, coffee, kind of like map out what I wanted to look at that day. Like I wouldn't actively like outline, but I'd be like, okay, so today I'm going to work on X. And then my lunch break at work, I would bring my laptop and I would go to a coffee shop or whatever and kind of bang out what I needed to bang out. And then if I was lucky enough to get on the seat on the way home, I would write in my notebook. I mean, there are several plays I wrote just kind of by hand mostly, and then would just like home and type them out. But as Queens got more popular, the getting a seat got a little more complicated, because when I first moved here, I got a seat every morning for about 5 or 6 years, and that has changed. So I used to write on the subway going home at night. And that's the thing that I think is the key element of what I'm missing is like, you go see a show, you go have a couple of drinks, it's 11 o'clock at night, you got to wake up and commute to the day job tomorrow. But I would get some serious writing done because the trains are emptier, it's quiet, I put my headphones on, get my music, and just kind of zone out and write. I don't have that space anymore. You can't just go to even just going to a coffee shop to write is like a moral decision. You have to be like, I got to get the mask, and like, do they have outdoor space? And like, are they spaced out well enough? And like, by the time you've stressed yourself out to leave the house, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to write in the morning, and I'm trying to just like not put too much weight on it. And I'm just trying to be like, just get something on the page. Anything is good. But I find that if I'm like, I am going to write part of this play today, my brain's like, no, we're not. So basically, but it's weird because I'm used to working under pressure. And now I feel like if I get any pressure, I kind of, from myself, not from, when Ashland was like, you have to do the thing, I was like, great. I banged out a bunch of rewrites in like 2 days. Yeah. And it was really good to know that I could work again when I had to.
That's awesome.
Because I was like, have I lost it? You know, you worry after not sharpening your skills for that long. You wonder, did I lose the ability to do this? But no, you know, it was the same thing. I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning doing rewrites, and then getting up at 7 to make sure that I didn't make any egregious typos, and then, you know, sending the script to my stage manager, and it felt really good. So I'm hoping to do more Zoom theater stuff. I was very resistant to it at first because I was just so devastated.
Yeah.
And I think I couldn't imagine how it could be a thing. But like I said, everybody else figured it out in the meantime. So I'm like, hello, I'm back. Thanks for figuring it out. So, but I mean, it's fantastic. Like so many people just did not let the despair get to them, and they just, they dove right in, which I admire, but I was not in that place.
So when you are writing late at night or early, or if you're working on stuff in the morning before
Mhm.
you dive in, you said you put your headphones on. Do you like music on when you're
Yeah.
writing?
Yeah, I've actually been listening to a little bit more like classical or like non-lyrical music. I
Hmm.
used to be able to listen to music with words when I wrote, and I actually preferred that because maybe a word would pop into my head or a line and it would kind of send me somewhere else. Like I'd be listening to it passively. It's not like I have it blasting in my ears. It's just like I have the noise canceling because you're home with your lovely wife. Like we're dueling Zoom all day.
Yeah.
You have to have your space. So I have the noise canceling headphones and he has his. And so we can tune each other out while he's teaching and I'm doing whatever.
Yeah.
But now I'm finding that if I put on, either something really mellow or like classical music or, non-lyrical music, that's helping. But I like to have something because the silence makes my brain go a little spirally. And so I can't write in complete silence. Like one time I went to the New York Public Library to the reading room and tried to
Hmm.
write in there and it was just dead silence. And I like had to leave. I was like, this is terrifying. I have to go. I don't know. I can't sleep with total silence either. I have a fan and we have the fan running winter,
Yeah.
whenever, because I need the white noise. So I just need some level of white noise. I need coffee always. Yeah, I
Do you
mean,
set it up at your desk? Do you have particular things you need to have around you, like your?
I have a lot of totems.
Yeah.
A couple of them. Okay. Well, I have my so sad. My Ruth Bader Ginsburg candle.
That's
The
great though.
me. I know,
Inspiration.
but it's inspiration. I've got my Dear Sugar Write Like a Motherfucker mug with my pens.
Awesome.
Not all my pens. This is just
Just
available.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I have seashells from my hometown.
Nice.
Water is my power place, so I have whale stuff everywhere. I have whale bookends. I have a whale poster. I've got whale pictures.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very blue in here. Blue is kind of so this is our, we have a 2-bedroom apartment. So this is like our second bedroom, which is not a bedroom. It is a gym. Mike's piano's over there. So he's got a digital piano over here. So he's got his piano. It's our gym. It's my office. So this is where my writing desk and my work desk is because I'm working. Cat playground. So you can see that Annie's sleeping up there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really like, when I'm making space for myself, I have to really make space for myself because
Yeah.
this used to be like kind of more my space. Mike would come in if I wasn't home, like he'd play piano or whatever while I was gone, but this was kind of like where I hunkered down to write. And now I don't have that. And I know some people have never had that. And I feel very lucky to have a separate space for my spouse at all. Some people live in 1-bedroom or studios with their spouses. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a relatively small apartment. It's just that we happen to have this extra room.
And so with that brings up an interesting question because I know that some people have said, when I'm at my desk in my house for my day job, it's hard to transition into being a creative person in that same seat with those same things around you. How are you working that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I've been struggling with. And I think that this desk for me used to be like my creative hub, and it's not that anymore. Now it's like, and you know what it's like. You do administrative stuff.
Yeah.
When you get on, or even if you have downtime, you get interrupted. Your phone goes off, you get an email, you got to schedule a meeting. So there's no way to get any kind of flow. So it's still the same thing. It's still like you have to write in the morning or you have to write after work or at night. Because during the day, you're getting interrupted constantly. The only solution, I have a desktop and a laptop. And so the only solution that I found is to take my laptop and go either outside or in my bedroom. But really, I've been writing more longhand lately, and I think that's the solve. I think it's really annoying and it's really tedious, but I think that it's easier for me to just kind of try to separate my writing from the computer a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Which is tough because it's so much easier to type than it is to write longhand. And also my handwriting now, I don't know about anybody, but like it's atrocious now. I used to have really nice penmanship, and now because I type all the time, it is
Yeah.
horrible. And I feel like my hands are all cramped up from the phone and from the mouse. Like my right hand, which is the hand I write with, is my mouse hand, and I feel like it's a claw. And
Yeah.
so like when I'm holding the pen, it doesn't feel as easy as it used to. So I'm trying to get back in touch with like the physical aspects of writing and trying to like, zoom into that a little bit rather than opening up Final Draft or Word or whatever you're writing in, because then it's like, oh, next to that is the spreadsheet I'm doing for work. And like, it's one thing to bang out some artistic statements during the day and do some applications during day job time, and it's quite another to actually be actively working on something.
Yeah, it's a big headspace shift that is not easy.
No, and we're not having experiences. And I think that's the other big thing, is that we're not going to concerts. We're not going to shows. We're not going to museums. I mean, you can go to the Met, but it's based on everybody's separate comfort level. I know people who literally have been in their house for 8 months, who like won't even go to the grocery store. So like, it depends on your comfort level, but really there's nothing to do. So we're not having those experiences that kind of engender what we write about. And I know all of my writing is based on experiences I've had or relationships. And so we're doing everything either virtually or very limited in person. And I feel like that makes it very hard, especially for playwrights, when all of this is drawn from real life conversations. I feel like in TV and film, you can do the texting and Zooming thing more easily. But I feel like in playwriting, it's about your experiences, and we're not having any. And I think there's a limited well to draw from right now. And I think that's really tough. It's tough for me.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean, I feel like when you're writing in media, a lot of times you are concocting a scenario and putting people into a scenario. And then when you're writing for the stage, you're sometimes concocting people and putting a relationship together or a large question, and then sort of seeing what scenario that leads to, and it's cart horse sort of situation. And I think sometimes it's easier to dream up like, oh, Carrie's got to defuse a bomb. What's that look like? Versus Carrie's got to break up with Bob, or Sue. And what does that look like?
Right. And I mean, dating is weird now. I mean, I know people, we're married, so we don't know, but, people have gone on these like, Tinder dates where they're wearing masks and sitting at like outside restaurants. And I'm like, this is amazing, but I'm not getting to like really see that in action. Like my favorite thing, my favorite game is What's Their Deal? Is when you're in a restaurant and you're sitting next to the people and you're like, what's their deal? Are they on a first date? Have they already had sex and now it's awkward? Are they father and daughter? Like, what is their deal? It's like my favorite game. We don't get to play that game anymore.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't get to eavesdrop because you can't be, I'm such a terrible eavesdropper. Like I'll be in a coffee shop, like pretending to be on my headphones and writing down what people say.
Oh yeah, me too.
All the time. I do it all the time. There's a train outside my window. I'm going to mute for 1 second.
Okay. Which is really interesting. While you're muted, I'm going to transition into a question that I asked Don, and I asked a bunch of people. Oh, I should clarify too. You and I and Don Nguyen, who was just one of our previous guests on this, are all members of Mission to Ditmar's Playwrights Lab, which is a tremendous organization that supports Queens writers, Queens playwrights, and is a real creative hotbed for a lot of the people who live in Queens and write in Queens. So it's been a fantastic organization to be a part of. So I will drop that in there for those who were like, what are they talking about? What is that going on?
Sorry. Yeah, we mentioned it a bunch of times.
That's all right. Clarity. People just want clarity.
True.
So when you hit tough spots, whether it be a writer's block or even some of the things we were talking about in terms of not enough raw material inspiration, is there a piece of advice or something that you fall back on or to remind yourself that allows you to either get grounded again or sort of inspires you to push through? Maybe something said to you or something you've read somewhere?
Well, I think that I've been struggling a lot with this, and I think what I keep coming back to is that writing is a muscle, and if you don't continue to work the muscle will atrophy. And that doesn't mean that you don't have the muscle anymore. It just means the muscle doesn't work as well. And so you just have to keep writing just write something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to write every day. And I feel like people are like, a real writer writes every day. I'm like, that is absolute horseshit. And it is absolutely not true. If I wrote every day, I would shoot myself. Like I would be so frustrated. There's no way. But there is something to be said for keeping the muscle strong because it's habit. It's like everything else. And so I'm trying to get back into the habit of writing. I think I fell out of the habit of writing. I used to write, every day in some way. And then the pandemic made it so that I did not have to.
Yeah.
And, and also that I didn't have the space to, and I had to learn how to create my own space. And it's very important to try to carve your own space out. But also be really gentle with yourself because no one knows how to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
We are in a completely unprecedented time. And if you don't have something to say about it right now, I would say that that's okay. Say the things that you have something to say about. You don't have to talk about this right now. Yeah. I feel like everybody's like, we have to talk about this because it's our life. And I'm like, there's going to be plenty of movies and TV shows and plays with people with masks on and going to the grocery store and getting fresh direct. It's going to happen. Write the things you care about and then worry about it later, but just try to do it as often as you can, even if it's just a little bit. And also do something creative that's not, if you're a writer, paint something. If you're a musician, write something, do something different. Right now I'm trying to do NaNoWriMo. I'm totally failing at it.
What is that?
That's the National Novel Writing Month thing. I had started a YA adaptation of one of my plays a while ago, and I had a few thousand words of it, and now I'm trying to do it again. And like I said, prose sometimes bores the shit out of me, but it's very important for me to write something that's not theater or, dialogue based or TV and film, and just write something different. And sometimes that will switch something off. But really right now, I think it's hard for everybody. And I think my main advice is don't beat yourself up, but don't lose touch with your creativity. And I feel like I did for a little while, and I feel like I'm coming back to it, but it's tough. Because creativity also requires being vulnerable. And I think that it's very hard to be vulnerable right now because there's so much going on and everybody's kind of just keeping their shit together. And it's very difficult to work when you are just getting through the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that's been my main issue is that I'm yeah, I could write, but I also could not completely lose my shit. So that would be good.
Yeah, that's kind of helpful.
So it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if your experience is similar or if, you've been cranking it out. I don't know what you've been up to. What are you up to?
I've gone through phases, I feel like over the summer I had an idea and I cranked it out and then that ended and I was like, I have nothing left in the tank. I can't even process anything. And then little by little, it started to come back to me a little bit. And, we'll sort of see where the rest of the year takes us. There's a lot of stimulus coming in terms of whether it be politics or, different entertainment things or pandemic things or, there's so much to think about and worry about and both dream about and have anxiety about. I feel like I'm starting to put the stew together a little bit for the next thing. Because all that stuff goes into it.
I mean, we're also coming up on the holidays, which is a difficult time for a lot of people, regardless of what's going on. And now it's we're not really going to have a holiday like we've remembered. It's going to be a lot of Chinese food in the house here. Yeah. Which I'm personally fine with, but a lot of people I know are really disappointed, and I feel for them. People who have happy family holidays, I really feel bad for them right now. I'm kind of I don't need that. I'm just, holidays are so much pressure, I think is my thing, and it always just feels really fraught. And I think it would just be nice to just cook a nice meal for my husband and I and have a bottle of wine and watch a cheesy Christmas movie. Sounds nice after this year, but I understand that a lot of people, I mean, our family lives close, like Mike's family's in Jersey, my family's in Connecticut. Like, it's not like we have to go very far. I feel like for people whose families live really far away and they only see them once a year, I think that's really tough.
Yeah. It's going to be a challenge for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, but I just hope that people don't ignore it and travel, but they probably will anyway.
They'll be safe. They'll be smart. We've got a president-elect who's saying everyone should wear a mask and everybody's going to listen.
They're totally going to listen to him.
Totally. It's going to work out great. Yes.
Oh my God.
If people wanted to see or read more of your work, where should they go?
Well, you can go to my website, which is KariBentley-Quinn.com, and there are links to my prose pieces that have been published and my plays and all that stuff. New Play Exchange, if you're into a play exchange. My Twitter and my Instagram are both KBQ Writes, and I'm posting always more than I should be. And I should be working, and I'm posting stuff.
That's all right.
The internet. It's fine. We all do it. We all do it. We're all guilty.
Yes. So I will put all those links in the notes underneath this, so
Great.
people can go check out your stuff. And thank you, my friend. This has been terrific. I've really had a great time.
Thank you. I'm so excited we got to do this, and I'm so happy to see you.
Yes, it's so good to see you. Please give my best to Mike, and
And you give my best to your lovely wife.
I will. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.